Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Super Game Brothers podcast. My name is David, and this is episode number 25 somehow. Very exciting that we're almost at a full 6 months of recording this podcast, which, I don't know. It didn't feel like it would ever get here. Today's kind of a unique episode. After saying that, I'm running solo. It's my fault. I had some conflicts with scheduling this week, and so Devin and I weren't able to line up our schedules. Still wanted to record a little something though, so this will be a shorter episode. Just kind of not quite as much news and other things to go through, but it'll still be a good time. For those of you that haven't listened before, this is a weekly board game and video game podcast that I do together with my brother, hence the name Super Game Brothers. We've played video games our entire life and board games as well, and I got really into hobby board gaming here in like the last 10 years of my life. And yeah, we both have played hundreds and hundreds of video games for the last 30 years as well, so we're always playing stuff, always have a ton to talk about. We like talking about games with each other, and we play a lot of games together as well, so it's a fun time. We talk about the news in the video game industry as well as the board game industry, what new announcements there have been, if there's been any spicy drama, and what we're playing, what we're most excited about coming up. And yeah, just a grand old time. So I'd very much encourage you to listen to our other episodes, maybe subscribe to the podcast on Apple's podcast services or Spotify. Just wherever you listen to podcasts. We also do have a Patreon. It's at patreon.com/supergamebrothers. And there you can get these podcast episodes 3 days early, as well as other exclusive videos, monthly Q&A, get your name in the credits, all kinds of other goodies. So please check that out. I'd really appreciate it if you do. This week, without Devin's, fun energy to kind of carry the beginning of our show, I'm just going to hop right in. And like I said, there's not really a lot this week that I want to go over, but still some fun board game crowdfunding projects I want to take a look at, some kind of smaller news items and things. So we're just going to hop right in. Our first segment usually is called the News Mini Nuke, and we go over any new trailers or game announcements. And there really wasn't any that I wanted to highlight, so I'm going to hop right into the second segment of the News Mini Nuke, which is new games coming to subscription services, new free games that are going to be included with those subscription services this coming week. And there's not a lot of changes from last week, but there are a couple. First up, Xbox has announced the next few games that are coming to Game Pass, and they look like good ones, to be honest. I'm pretty excited about a couple of them. So let's just scroll down here and read them. Wargroove 2, it's obviously, with the 2 in its title, it's the sequel to Wargroove, which I think got quite a bit of its kind of gameplay inspiration from the Nintendo game that I'm spacing on the Advance Wars, is that the name? Anyways, it's kind of a colorful, artsy, tactical strategy game. And yeah, let's see what this blurb says here. So it'll be out September 19th, which was 2 days ago. So it's already available if you're hearing this. To Game Pass Ultimate and PC, embark on an all-new adventure filled with unlikely friendships, unknown adversaries, and ugly revenge plots. Wage war against your foes with a cast of new commanders. Design and share maps, cutscenes, and campaigns with easy-to-use editors and in-depth customization tools. I haven't played the first Wargroove, but I do have it, I think, on PC and on my PlayStation, so I've been thinking about hopping into that one for a while. I'm a little picky with turn-based strategy games like that, but this one seems like it has some I don't even know what the right term is for that, It's upbeat, kind of cutesy. It's not the word I'm looking for, but it has kind of that kind of charming vibe to it that I think might pull me through. So check out that one. I think that's a day one with Game Pass game there. It doesn't say that here, but I'm pretty sure that one's brand new. Next up is Frostpunk 2, which I also think is day one to Game Pass. Oh yeah, it does say that here. That's on Ultimate and on PC as of yesterday. Take the role of a steward and lead your city through a cascade of calamities taking place in a post-apocalyptic, snowy setting. Develop, expand, and advance your city in a society survival game set 30 years after an apocalyptic blizzard ravaged Earth. In Frostpunk 2, you face not only the perils of never-ending winter, but also the powerful factions that watch your every step inside the council hall. I haven't played the original Frostpunk. I think, again, I have it, though. I believe it's like a... How would you call this? It's not like a city builder, but kind of like a survival city kind of building game, if I'm thinking of the right game. So if that's up your alley, check that one out as well. And then the last one I hadn't heard of, it's called Aura History Untold, and it's just for PC, and same with Frostpunk to be transparent here. Wargroove 2 is for cloud, console, and PC. These other two were just for PC. And Aura is also day one from Oxide Games and Xbox Game Studios. Aura History Untold is an evolution in historical grand strategy, featuring beloved classic PC strategy mechanics alongside innovative gameplay. Build a nation and lead your people throughout history as you explore new lands, develop arts and culture, conduct diplomacy, and go head-to-head with your rivals to prove you are the greatest ruler ever known. It's your world now. Pre-install today to get ready to play on day one. And that one's on the 24th, which, let's see, what's tomorrow? 22nd, 23rd. So that's Tuesday, which should be the day after you're hearing this if you're listening on day one. So probably available right now. Also some in-game loot for Overwatch 2 with Game Pass and some DLC packs for Fallout 76, EA Sports Football Club 25 Early Access Trial, and then Starfield Shattered Space expansion. Game Pass members save 10%, so that one's not included, but a little discount there. All right. So I wanted to give those a shout out if you have Game Pass Ultimate or PC Game Pass. And last up for this category, there's 2 games on the Epic Game Store that are free this week. We've got Tome, a photo adventure, which I've played a little bit of on PlayStation, and it's a pretty fun, kind of quirky indie game. You go around taking pictures in this black and white, very quirky little town, and it's kind of like this isometric camera angle until you pull your camera up, and then you can look around in 3D when you're taking pictures with your camera, if I remember correctly. So yeah, showing an example right there. So it's a cute game if you like that kind of thing, which I know not everybody does, but I really like unique and smaller games like that. So Tome is great. Add that one to your library. I will as soon as this episode is over. In fact, while we're here, maybe I'll just do it right now. Oh, I haven't signed in, so never mind. Okay, we'll go back. I tried to be cool. Didn't work out. All right, and the other free game on the Epic Game Store this week is... Oh no, it has scrolled me and now I'm not in the same spot. It's called The Last Stand Aftermath. And it kind of looked like Dead Nation, to be honest. I'm just going to put in some fake birthday here. But yeah, it's a single-player roguelite action-adventure game where you are infected with the zombie virus, and you set out to explore the apocalypse and find hope for your colony. So it's kind of a survival game, has that isometric camera angle it looks like, and you're exploring out from your colony. I have never heard of it before, so I don't know. It's been out for 3 years almost, so I don't know if it's very good, but add it to your library regardless. It's totally free on the Epic Game Store, and maybe it'll be kind of a sleeper hit. Maybe you'll enjoy it. Anyways, those are the 2 free games there on the Epic Game Store. All right, that was pretty straightforward. Not a lot of new games to subscription services this week. Okay, last up here in this section, we usually talk about, I guess this is the next section, what we have been playing lately. So continuing our discussion from last week, I've still been playing Black Myth Wukong and Astrobot, still loving both of those games. I think we're getting close to the end on Astrobot. Really enjoying it. Just the, just fun, artsy vibe for that game is just amazing. Other than that, I did start another game that I've also really liked. Let's see if it'll pull up here on the screen for me. It's the Plucky Squire. We talked about it last week, but really fun game where you play as this as the Plucky Squire, this knight who is in a storybook, and you play in kind of this 2D isometric storybook for probably the first hour of the game, and it has a very cute kind of narrator as the story is being told, and you meet some of your friends. And there's this evil dude named Humgrump, who eventually figures out how to throw the squire out of the book. So it bumps you out of the book into 3D. And that's kind of the main crux of the game, is that you then play hopping back and forth between 2D and 3D. And as you can see here, like taking a key from 3D to 2D to solve a puzzle. Very, very cool game and idea. I'm only about an hour in so far, but it has been a really, really fun hour. When you first hop into 3D, I feel like it holds your hand a little bit too much and has you do this kind of stealth scenario where it wants you to sneak past these bugs that Sam collects in his bedroom. And I did think that area was a little like, I don't know, uninspired isn't the right word, but less than thrilling, maybe, is a good way to say that. I really like the 2D art, especially, and I think the narrator and the characters are fun, but I do feel like the game holds your hand a little bit too much, at least for like an experienced gamer like myself. I imagine that they're trying to cater to kids that are playing, and so it just reminds you often in kind of these conversations with the other characters, like, oh yeah, did you remember this? And you need to do this, and let's tutorialize and re-tutorialize different sections. So that gets a little annoying from time to time, but the general idea I really, really love, and I hope that it goes to, they really stretch that idea and take it through its paces so that you're exploring in Sam's room gets like really cool, and you're able to hop into different 2D environments. They already have had some fun mini games. One of the first ones in the game is kind of this ode to Punch Out, where you're fighting this boss by dodging his punches left and right and ducking, and then punching him back. He's a honey badger. It was a fun fight. So it has some fun mini games. I hope they really stretch this idea, because it is a really cool idea, hopping out of the book into the world, and then being able to hop back in, and the intersection of those two things. So hopefully it can grow with that and not reuse too much and just kind of be a little too rote. But really like it so far. So I want to give a shout out to the Plucky Squire there. For board games this week, I played two, and I did forget to pull them up, so I'm just going to search them here on Board Game Geek as we are talking. I played a 6-player game, which was probably a bad idea on my part, of Expeditions. This is a sequel to Scythe. It has this very cool kind of alternate history story and lore and artwork. Very cool game. It's basically kind of a deck building game where you are getting new cards in your deck, and you do that by moving your mech. That your mech is a cool piece, but it really just symbolizes where you are in the world, to these different hexes that make up the game board, like you can kind of see here. And so you're moving around to these different hexes, and each hex has an ability on the bottom that you can activate, and some of those might be to collect a card or play another card, or to, if you're at the correct location, you can, what do they call it, to solve I think, solve a it's not a story, solve a what is it? A quest? Yeah, solve a quest, I think. And when you solve a quest, you tuck those cards in the top of your board. And the number of quests that you solve becomes kind of a multiplier with these glory tokens that you can get out. And so with these big miniatures, I think you would kind of think, oh, there's probably got to be some fighting in this game, but there's really not. The only interaction on the board is people blocking the location that you want, really. And anytime a new location is discovered, there is corruption at that location, and that's visualized by these square pieces on the bottom. And so someone might clear the corruption from a tile, which activates or makes available another action at that location. So the map being explored and other players kind of blocking where you want to go is kind of the main interaction point. There's not fighting like you might expect with minis that big. They are very cool regardless. But yeah, primarily you've got your hand of cards, which is never secret. It's on the left side of your board, just face up. And then the cards that you play go on the right side of your board in kind of this line, like your active line. And then eventually you have to take a refresh turn. And when you take that refresh turn, you get to pick up all of those cards. Any workers that you had put on the cards go back to your player board. Kind of similar to Century Spice Road. I have Golem Edition, but that's what that mechanism at least reminded me of. I think it's also in Concordia, which I don't have. But a fun system. I like getting a better hand of cards and then being able to play better and better cards, being able to cycle through and play a card I like multiple times is fun. I do like the action system in this game. You have this cube, and you have to move it to a different spot. So after you refresh, it goes to this spot here at the bottom. And so the 3 squares above that are move, play, and oh, what's the third one that's blocked right there? My memory is terrible. I can't remember what it was. Move, play, and oh, we can find it here, I think. Move, play, and gather. That's right, which is what lets you do the action on the spot. And so after you refresh, you get to do all 3 of those things on your turn because your token is there at the blank spot. But after that turn, when it gets back around to you, you have to move it up from that spot on top of either move, play, or gather, and kind of blocking that action. And then you get to do the 2 that are not covered up. Then on future turns, you continue to do that, move it onto a different one of those 3 actions, which will block it. And then you get to do the other 2 on your turn until you take that refresh action, which gives you your cards back, put your workers back on your main board, and then you get to start your cube back at the bottom, which gives you all 3 actions. So you're kind of incentivized to refresh. I feel like I didn't refresh quite enough in my game, which is probably why I got absolutely destroyed. But cool game. I like the main mechanism there. There's a lot to explore in the game. There's like 8, maybe more at this point, different asymmetric like characters you can play with, and each character has a like pet companion, and those are the 2 cards that your deck starts with, and they're quite a bit different from one to the other. I have the Gears of Corruption expansion as well, and it adds a few more of those characters and companions, and it also adds these cool dual layered boards. So for that section I was just talking about with the track where you're placing your action cube, it's nice dual layered, which is really great. And then you're also keeping track of your, I think they call it guile and power, basically the 2 like currencies in the game, and those have nice dual layered tracks for them as well. It also introduces a 6th player, which is how we were able to play with 6, and a cool gold wild worker that everyone starts with, which is supposed to kind of speed up the beginning of the game. So instead of having to go and get a worker, and the first and second players having a bigger advantage because they could go directly to a spot to get a worker, and you're kind of blocked out of that. Everyone starts with a wild one, which kind of expedites the beginning of the game. So I've heard that expansion really makes it better. I've only played with it, haven't played without. So we really enjoyed the playthrough. It was long with 6 because it was everyone's first play there. Maybe not a good decision. We had 6 coming to game night, and I was like, let's split into 2 games. And after a little chatting, we decided not to, and we just played that 6-player game of expeditions. And it was a lot, a little crazy. Maybe shouldn't have done that, but it was fun. We had a good time, so no regrets there. Did it take a lot longer than I think it was supposed to? Yeah, but I enjoyed it. So excited to play Expedition some more. In my well, we'll talk about that more in a minute. The other game that I have been playing and is really awesome, kind of gives me a similar feeling to Expeditions, to be honest, just also has combat and a bit more engine building as opposed to, deck building with cards. My copy of Andromeda's Edge showed up a couple days ago. And what a cool game. It's from one of my very favorite designers. His name is Luke Laurie. As far as worker placement is concerned, I think he does it really well. Some of his other games are Cryo and Whistle Mountain are 2 of the other ones that I have. I think he's done some others like the Manhattan Energy Project or something like that. I can't remember the name. But it's a big game where it's a sci-fi game. You're putting ships out on a board in kind of a worker placement fashion. Wherever you put them, you get to do the action on the board. After you've put all your ships out, then the only thing you can do left is call them all back. When you call them all back, they come back to your space station, which is your player board, and you get to activate basically the different modules at your station in these 4 different rows that kind of are in line with the 4 different tracks in the game. I think they are science, industry. What is the yellow one? It's like commerce and civilization. I can't perfectly remember, but you get to put your ships and then any energies cubes that you have onto those modules and activate them. So those turns are really powerful. You get like a lot of resources back. You can activate modules that will let you get another module, or activate a module that would let you like repair a ship that's been damaged, and then it gets to come back. So the engine building is very like a huge part of this game. And you can get really like a crazy engine going. I also got crushed in this game. We only played at 3 players, which took like 4 hours. Again, a learning game. I played with an extra module, and we were all trying to figure it out the first game. It was just kind of the learning game. So it was kind of expected to take that long. I think it's supposed to take about 40 minutes per player. So hopefully we could get that down closer to 2 hours at 3 players next time. But man, what a cool game. I really, really loved it. Like I said, I got absolutely crushed by like 50 points, which is fine. I was in the rule book a lot, and I had to teach the game, and I was trying to remember everything. But super cool. Inside that framework of you either place out a worker or you pull them all back, there is quite a bit else going on. There are, whenever you go to put a worker out, if it's your first launch, you can put them anywhere in the galaxy that doesn't have that's unoccupied, doesn't have another player ship there or a raider. After that, you have to put your ships in range from one of your other ones, and then you can go on onto occupied locations. When you put out a ship, you have to check and see, is there a raider in range now? Because if there is, they're gonna do a raider strike, like zoom to my location to try and fight me, and then there will be a fight. And fighting includes dice and doesn't have a lot of steps. I think it has just the right number of steps, to be honest, because if it was just totally like you roll dice and I roll dice and whoever gets the better roll wins, that would be a little too random. It has a bit more thought into it than that, which I appreciate. Basically based on the strength of your ships and the number you have, and if you're in proximity to some of your own developments, then you get to roll up to 6 dice. And then you also have some minimum, what they call a targeting value, again, based on how many ships you're allocating to the fight. Like if my targeting value is 4, then if I roll a 1, 2, or a 3, I automatically get to re-roll those. So it does like incentivize and make it much more likely that you will win a fight if you allocate more ships to the fight, or if you're fighting in proximity to some of your developments. When a fight is about to start, other people can hop in if they're in range, and so it kind of becomes this big fight. You can also play like tactics cards during the fight that might either end the fight immediately, might let you leave the fight and just leave everyone else there to fight over the location. This center red track is the supremacy track. If you win the fight, you get to move up on that track. So you do worry a lot about these 5 tracks. You get to move up them anytime you get one of the 4 different types of modules, or anytime you win a fight, or with some other effects. This game is really cool. Really like it. Very excited to explore more of it. There are 18 different factions in the game, 14 different raiders, 3 different event decks to play with. And then just the variability of where the planets and the alliance bases are coming out. You can play with these vortexes or Kaisar locations as well that change that up a little bit. If you're playing solo, there's 9 different Unity commanders to play against that are in, I think, 3 different levels of difficulty. I just feel like you would almost never have the same like experience. I'm very excited to play this game, hopefully many, many, many times. It's a very big box with lots of pieces. The toy factor is really cool too. These raiders are humongous, look really cool. The minis are awesome. The game trays inside the box are excellent as well. I wonder if I can pull up my YouTube here really quick, and I could just have my unboxing playing in the background. That would probably work. I filmed an unboxing of this game after it delivered, and it took more than 10 minutes before I edited it. It's about 50 minutes now. It's a very big box if you get the all-in edition, and has lots and lots of pieces. Setup is a little crazy, at least the first play, but I just really, really enjoyed it though. So still a lot to unpack there and see if the kind of the box size and the setup time and the teardown time continue to be worth the experience. But at this point, I've really, really loved it. Yeah, this is the biggest raider here in the game. It's called the Hive. It's a big golden piece. It's kind of meant to represent kind of a hornet hive, I believe. Has this cool yellow honeycomb kind of translucent plastic on the bottom. And then there are 3 hornet raiders that nest in the top of the hive, and anytime you do damage to one of the hornets pops off, you get to use it temporarily, but then it becomes a raider on the board as well, and you have to fight them separately. And there's tons of different raiders, I think in 5 different classes, and you shuffle up each class and only play with 1 from each class each game. So that combination is going to be very different as well. They have these really cool stands and translucent, like clear bases so you can have the raiders be like barely off the table, or you can put like 3 of these little peg stands underneath them and have them stand really tall. It is a big, expensive game, but it feels like it and looks like it on the table. When you're playing, you're like, wow, it looks really, really cool. This raider dashed in on this really cool artwork and landed on this planet with me, and we're having a fight in space. Or just really cool. Really enjoy it. Very excited to film some more content related to this game and play it a bunch more times. Hopefully have a review out in the next few weeks, but I'm going to make some shorts, and I want to play it solo quite a few times and test it out with different player counts. Really, really loved it. Just very excited to play it some more. So anyways, that is Andromeda's Edge and Expeditions. Those are the 2 board games that I was able to play this last week. The next segment of our show is what you're most looking forward to. And I have to say, as far as board games are concerned, those two games are still what I'm most looking forward to. I want to continue to play Andromeda's Edge. I have some other games delivering soon that I'm excited about, like Defenders of the Wild and Arcs. But I'm just really excited to play these some more. I need to, I think, just schedule a few extra game nights in the next couple weeks to get in the extra plays that I'm hoping to. Because yeah, both of those games are really, really cool. As far as video games are concerned, though, I did just buy this game here that I've been pumped for a while. I didn't know it was coming out so quick, and then all of a sudden it was just here. It's called UFO 50, and it was made by, I think, a team, but the two lead developers on the game are Mossmouth. He's I think his name is Steven, and he developed Spelunky and Spelunky 2, which I think are two of the very best video games ever made. I think they're incredible. And this game here, UFO 50, is 50 different games that they made in this collection called UFO 50. And all of them are what they call complete experiences. They're complete games. They're not like demos or miniature or small. Some of them are obviously longer than others, and they're different genres. Some are, this is like a shmup looking thing here, and this is a beat 'em up. And they all kind of have this arcade style, but the style kind of evolves between the games. It's supposed to follow kind of a hypothetical video game publishing company and their growth throughout like the early days of video games. So they make like arcade games, and then games in 8-bit, and games kind of graduate to 16-bit. And I think there is kind of a meta story and some kind of extra details that you can uncover as you continue to play more and more of the games. I'm curious to see how they do that, because all 50 of the games, if I'm understanding correctly, are unlocked right from the get-go, so you don't have to play them in like any specific order. And that seems like it would make it hard to do that kind of meta narrative around this company that this fake company that published these 50 games. It's been getting quite a bit of buzz in the past few days. Just came out on on the 18th. There's a 10% discount on Steam currently, I think, for maybe the next couple of days until the 25th. So if you want to like support a very, very awesome developer that has an excellent track record, maybe check out UFO 50. That's what I'm most excited about in video games currently. Apart from continuing the games I haven't finished yet. I need to start finishing some of these. It's just hard. There's so much to do, and I'm also playing board games and loving them and want to play them multiple times so that I can get a review up on my Gaming Top Down YouTube channel. There's just a lot to do, but UFO 50, it's got a special place in my heart, even though I haven't even started it yet. But it is installed on my Rogue Ally, and I'm very, very pumped to play that one. I'm hoping to start it maybe tonight. Okay, that is going to do it for the games I've been playing and what I'm looking forward to the most in the next few weeks. For the news this week, I've just got some tabs pulled up, so we're going to give a lot of love to Push Square, the PlayStation blog, to just showing some Kickstarter pages for some of that. So just hopping around a little bit. We'll do video game news first before we hop into board game crowdfunding corner. There's not a ton of news in board games in video games this week, but I did want to highlight a few things. So the PlayStation announced, as part of their 30th year celebration, a collection of consoles and accessories that have this cool gray and retro PlayStation logo on them. They're calling it the PlayStation 30th Anniversary Collection. And there is a PlayStation 5 Pro. That one comes in a bundle. So it's the Pro with the 2 terabyte SSD. And it comes with, it looks like, matching limited edition accessories. The DualSense Edge DualSense charging station, and a console cover for a disk drive. And it includes a vertical stand and special collector's items, which are a PlayStation, what's that say? Original PlayStation controller style cable connector housing. I think that is this cool USB-C cable that looks like it's a memory card from the original PlayStation. I thought it was on this page. Where are you? Maybe it's not there. Google that if you haven't seen it. It's an awesome looking USB C cord. Not right here. Oh, here it is. It's right here. So you get like some cable ties and a paper clip for some reason, and I think a sticker, and then this really cool USB-C cord that looks like where that's actually not the memory cards. That's what the base of the controller cord looked like when you plugged them into the PlayStation 1. So just a cool little nod there. I think that's kind of the coolest part. But really, really cool. I love this gray. I imagine that bundle is going to be very expensive because it's a PlayStation 5 Pro, which we know is $700. It includes a DualSense. Those are like $80. A DualSense Edge is $200. A charging station and an extra cover in case you have the disk drive, and the vertical stand and those collector's items. This might be like $1,100. That would be crazy. And there's like the fact that it's a limited edition exclusive item that's only going to be sold for a very short time. I think they said there's only 12,000 of each being made. Yeah, there will be 12,300 units in that bundle made available to purchase. They will be released on November 21st, and I think they will be available to pre-order on, what did it say? Oh, I could have sworn they had that listed here. I thought it was like the 26th of, oh yeah. They will be available to pre-order exclusively from PlayStation Direct on September 26th. Again, they haven't announced the pricing for some reason, because that's only 5 days from now, so I'm surprised they haven't announced the price. Probably because the sticker shock is going to be crazy. But they are very, very cool looking. I would love that color of a PlayStation 5 as opposed to the white one. But I am not going to be getting this. I'm not going to get a PlayStation 5 Pro either, I don't think. I'm very happy with my PlayStation 5. I would love like the extra fidelity that it can offer, but I don't think that that's really in the budget for me this console generation. So I'll just wait until the PlayStation 6 and that'll be fine. This Portal though, very cool looking. I do think a PlayStation Portal is a cool device. I kind of do the same thing with, what's it called, Shiaki. It's an app for the Steam Deck and the Rogue Ally that lets you stream your PlayStation 5 to that device. So I'm probably not going to buy one of those just because I kind of have that experience. And then the DualSense and the DualSense Edge, I do think that gray one is excellent looking. It does have the color on the controller buttons, which looks superb. I don't generally buy full priced controllers either. I wait till they're on sale. So I don't think I'm going to get any of these things, which is a bummer. You know, I wish I was a wealthy billionaire, then I would buy them all. But anyways, just wanted to give them a shout out. They've been getting a lot of buzz where people, a lot of memes going up online where people are saying like, last week everyone was super mad that the PlayStation 5 Pro was being announced for $700. And this week they announced this PlayStation 5 Pro that's going to be in a bundle and probably like $1,000, and everyone's like throwing their wallets at them. So kind of a funny turnaround that has been, but cool looking item, just probably not one I am going to buy. There is a rumor going around that Days Gone is going to be remastered, which is kind of funny since it just came out, and I think it runs at 4K and 60 frames per second on PlayStation 5, if I'm remembering correctly. I'm pretty sure that's right though. It was upgraded it was rumored and then kind of confirmed by Jeff Grubb, and yeah, it's just kind of crazy. The Horizon Zero Dawn remaster leaked, from, I think, the ESRB page just a few days ago. And so, yeah, I don't really know exactly why they're re-releasing these games. Horizon makes a little more sense. They just had a sequel. They're going to be making a third one. And they're making like a multiplayer game for Horizon as well. And I think they're doing a Horizon TV show or movie. I can't remember which one. And then there's that Lego Horizon game. They are really going hard on Horizon. So it makes sense, I guess, to pull like a version of that game forward to the PlayStation 5. But Days Gone, it seems like they gave up on. They kind of, the studio heads for Sony Bend left, and I think that there have been lots of reports that they're not working on Days Gone 2, but they pitched it, but that it was kind of declined, and they're working on some live service multiplayer project over at Sony Bend. So not exactly sure what the thinking is with this one, since they don't really seem to care about Days Gone anymore. But supposedly that's going to be happening this coming week. There's been a lot of rumors that Sony's going to have a state of play next week, so which will be this week when you're hearing it. So probably going to be announced imminently. Okay, next up is kind of a bummer. Again, lots of announcements in the PlayStation ecosystem right now, where Nintendo's kind of biding their time until they announce the Switch, or until like Zelda and Mario Brothers come out, and then they'll probably say a bit more. But anyways, on Sacred Symbols, Colin Moriarty got a scoop. He spoke with someone that he calls a very trusted source who worked on Concord, and got a lot of details from this person. And supposedly, Concord had cost about $200 million to develop before Sony purchased them last year in 2023. And then in total, the game costs about $400 million to make, which is a ton of money. I think like Spider-Man 2, Marvel Spider-Man 2 that just came out. When did that come out? I believe that came out last fall, right? Maybe it was this spring. My memory is leaving me, I swear, but I think that game costs like $250 million, and it's like one of Sony's most important games. So it's crazy that this game cost that much money and was basically immediately shut down after 2 weeks because it sold so few, had such a small like concurrent player count on Steam that they just basically killed it and refunded everybody. Just a crazy failure. And from what I've heard, it's not really because of the quality of the gameplay in the game, but for some reason it just did not catch the market. At $40 with a lot of competition in the multiplayer space, it just didn't do it for some reason. And I bet Sony was really caught off guard by that, because Helldivers had just exploded at the same price point. But it's a very different game. Helldivers is like purely co-op, and your friends are like, man, this game's fun, and you just laugh, and like you're shooting alien bugs, and we're gonna have a good time together. So everyone just kind of hopped in on that. Whereas this, being purely PvP, I don't know, I just feel like there's a lot more competition for that. And I'm guessing a lot of people are like, well, I've got so many free options in the PvP space that why would I play this? And I don't, really love how the characters look. It's not like Marvel Rivals where I'm playing as Venom and Spider-Man. So just a lot of bummers there. But anyways, he had a lot more details from this leaker. Some of the quotes he listed here is that this is Sony's biggest, what do you say, quote, "It's the biggest game Sony's ever released from a budgetary standpoint from a first party," end quote. So it's the most money they've ever spent on a game. This story was corroborated by Kotaku, and yeah, just a crazy story. Kind of continuing, there's a lot more you could read into that. I won't go too much in the weeds, but continuing the story of Concord and what is the Firewalk Studios, the company that developed it? It seems like they are in a rough place, which makes sense, unfortunately, that they're probably worried that they're going to be shut down. The developers are worried for their jobs. The director of the game, Ryan Ellis, just told staff he's going to be stepping down as director, moving into a support role. There's about 150 to 170 staff there. So I feel really bad for that team. By all accounts, it seems like they made a pretty solid game. It just, for some reason, the market deemed it unworthy, and that happens, unfortunately. Timing and luck play a lot of roles in these kinds of things. So bad news for Firewalk and Concord all around, but that $400 million number is just crazy, especially when Sony made like nothing on the game and then refunded all of it anyways. So it makes me think, just hearing the discourse around this, that this director stepped down, the staff is worried they're going to lose their jobs. It makes me less and less, or think that it's less and less likely that they're even ever going to reboot it to be free to play or anything. I hope that's wrong, and I hope it comes back in free to play and can make its money back or something, but that's a lot of money to make back. A lot. Not impossible, but it seems pretty cast in stone at this point that this game's just going to be dead. So, a little bit of a bummer there. Okay. Wall Street Journal reported on some updated sales figures for the PlayStation and Xbox this generation, and not looking great for the Xbox, unfortunately. These numbers that they have listed here is that the Xbox has sold about 28.3 million units between the Series S and the Series X, and the PlayStation 5 has sold 61.7 million. So that looks fairly similar to the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One generation of 117 and 58-ish million, but it's even a little bit worse. So yeah, I mean, Sony's not quite at 3-1, but could be there shortly if the trend continues. So yeah, it's just hard. I loved my original Xbox. It's where I played Splinter Cell and Prince of Persia and Halo and the Elder Scrolls all for the first time. I loved that console. Didn't really love the Duke controller, but then that excellent S controller came out, and I thought the Xbox was so cool. I really feel like that with the changes they've made recently, purchasing Activision and Bethesda and putting basically all of their games on PC, and now they're putting more and more games on PlayStation, and it sounds like that's even more the direction they're going to go. It just seems like this disparity is going to continue and continue as people realize, hey, I can just get a PlayStation and play basically all of their games anyways, especially if I have a PC. Then I could still even play them day and date. With Indiana Jones being announced that, yeah, it's coming out for Xbox and PC in December, but then for PlayStation in spring, it's not very long to wait. And yeah, it'll probably be included in Game Pass, I would imagine. I don't know that they've announced that for that one. Maybe they have. And it won't be on PlayStation, but if I buy a PlayStation, then I can also play Sony's games. So I don't know. I feel like their die is kind of cast here once they made that decision. And maybe it will end up being a very wise decision. It seems like their games are selling very well on PlayStation, so they're probably making a lot of money. And maybe this is kind of the best route they want to be in anyways. Microsoft is kind of a services company. They're not generally making hardware like this. So I don't know. It'd be a bummer to see Xbox's hardware line go away, because I do think it helps with competition almost always to have more choice there. And them being successful in hardware, I think would push Sony and Nintendo to be more competitive on their end. But anyways, those new numbers, just wanted to give a call out to there. And then there were a few new details, I think not leaked. Leak's not the right word. Well, I guess leaked might be a right word. Forbes. There's a journalist there named Paul Tassi, very well known Forbes video game writer. He has a source at Bungie, and the source has given him some better ideas about the game. It sounds like it is going to come out next year, and that Sony's pretty adamant about that, and that it is going to cost $40, which is kind of crazy. Sony's kind of all in on this $40 price point, for better and for worse. For better with Helldivers, I think it really helped that game to not be 60 or 70 bucks. You're like asking your friend, like, hey, get this game so we can play together. And they're like, oh man, how much is it? Like 40 bucks. I'm like, oh, it's like a $30 discount than most of PlayStation's games. But then it really hurt Concord. So I don't know if that $40 price tag is going to help or hinder here. You know, Bungie has such a pedigree with Destiny, and their like big launches with Destiny were all at like premium pricing. So that $40 price point will probably be fine for them. It's a much different game too than like Concord, but I imagine they're looking at lots of data just to make sure that that $40 price point isn't going to burn them again. I'm excited about this game. I think it has a very cool like visual style and aesthetic, and I like extraction kind of shooters. I hope that it's not too fast paced. The note here is that Marathon is not, it's supposed to be a little bit closer to Apex Legends, and Apex is almost too fast for me to be competitive in. So yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see some gameplay, hopefully, early next year or something. I hope that it can be a game for me, because I think Bungie, man, they make excellent first person gameplay. So I'm excited about that one. Hopefully it'll be a hit for me. All right, I think that might be all of the video game news. So again, like I said, not a ton this week, but just wanted to give a couple of those call outs. And yeah, the 26th, if you want one of those limited edition 30th anniversary PlayStation items and have money to burn, because you're probably going to need to burn it to get some of those, make sure to be ready, because those are going to sell out fast on PlayStation Direct. Okay, last up, we're going to do a really quick crowdfunding corner here, since it's just me without Devin. I didn't have as much time this last week. This is going to be a very, very quick one, but we do have 6 games here that I wanted to just highlight this week, so that we didn't miss any in the gap between a couple. First up here is Spectacular. It's called a tabletop game of B-movie horror thrills. In this game, you play as one of 20 different movie monsters. And I think they're kind of knockoffs of actual monsters. Like instead of the Blob, it's Rigu. And I mean, there's some definite nods to other horror movies. Mummy Gator, Tomb of the Mummy Gator 3. It's kind of like a nod to the Mummy, maybe, or the Swamp Thing or something. I really love horror movies, and those old Universal monsters, I really like those. Like Dracula and the Mummy and the Wolfman and things like that. So I really like the art style and the vibe that this game is going for. It seems like a pretty simple game, and I hope that it has enough kind of depth to be exciting. Basically, you play on this movie theater board, and you're trying to move around to the different rooms in the movie theater. And I don't know if scare is the right word. I think they call it something else, like capture, or where's the how to play? Oh, it's just a video. I want to remember that word. I don't think it was capture. Dang it. It doesn't matter. You play in there and you are, consume. I think consume is the word. So you're trying to consume innocent people, which are represented by meeples, so the guests at the movie theater. And you're playing cards on your turn, and you're moving around to the different rooms, and you're setting traps in order to do that. And again, like I said, it kind of seems like a kind of entry level game, but I like the theme. I like that there are those asymmetric monsters to choose from, so that you have a little bit of variability from game to game. I think it was $55 if I'm remembering correctly. And yeah, there's 20 player boards, because each monster, villain, whatever we're calling them, plays a little bit differently than the others. Yeah, $55 for this base game. or you can do 94 that includes the base game and this 99 heroes bonus. And what else is in there? Let's just scroll down and see. It also includes Mask of the Outlander playing cards, Spooktacular CCG playmat. Anyways, I would probably just look at the base version there, to be honest, but I don't know that the weight of this game is that exciting to me, but kind of reminds me of something like what's the word? What is the game? Horrified. But I would be more interested in this because I'm less keen on cooperative games. So, anyways, that is Spooktacular, a tabletop game of B-movie horror thrills. It ends on the 26th. You've only got a couple more days here, and that one is on Kickstarter. Next up is, I think, a sequel of sorts. It plays very differently to, oh, dang it, now I can't remember what that, Villagers of the Oakdale, which was a roll and write game that this company released last year. And this one is called Dungeons of the Oakdale from Two Acorns Games. And they make really solid, like, print and play roll and write games. This one I feel like is pretty unique in how it plays. So it's a dungeon crawl. You're moving through this dungeon, and as you're moving around, you will fight different monsters. But I think the way that you fight them is like the most unique. You roll dice to determine like where you can draw lines. And then when you're drawing these lines, wherever they intersect on the monster is a hit point or a damage that you've done to them. And so this second line intersected twice on the monster, and so they did 2 damage with that one line. Kind of has this cool, like, I don't even know what you would call that. It kind of reminds me of, like, I don't know, you're like spreading these sword strokes that look like string or something across these monsters. And so the monsters have different like shapes and positions kind of within that circle of dots that you can draw a sword slash through. Like the monster that they were showing there is kind of dodging this bottom left section a little bit. But anyways, I think that's a pretty cool idea. Very unique, at least. And in the base game, you get 1 hero sheet, 9 monsters, 1 boss, 1 dungeon map. Or you can, and that's for $7 or for $14. You can see I've already backed this one. I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to keep it because dungeon crawls aren't my favorite for sure. But yeah, just wanted to. I backed it just while I was thinking about it. For twice that, for $14, you get 5 different heroes, 21 different monsters, 6 different bosses, and 6 different dungeon maps. So if you really think you'll like that system, we got a lot more variety there in that one. So wanted to give that one a shout out because their roll and write games are pretty smooth and unique in my opinion. So that is Dungeons of the Oakdale. Ends on the 30th of this month on Kickstarter. Next up is a game I've been very curious about. It came out, I think, last year, called Lands of Galzer, and man, I think it was very popular. It's kind of a story-based game where you're building up your own character across this board as the seasons change and it becomes like snowy. And I think it says here you can play it competitive or cooperative. And so I'm intrigued by that a little bit. Sometimes I get nervous when games claim that they can do more than one game mode. Like, can you do them both well, right? But this one got such like high praise that I've been curious to do a little more research into it. And this is a expansion called Dreams and Mysteries for that game. Everything fits in the base game's box, and it has new. What does it say? Yeah, here we go. You've got a new adventurer, which is a lizard and a small little baby frog called Noku and Umi. And you've got expanded personal stories for each character, new special abilities, kind of a mystery deck, it looks like. And yeah, just a bunch of new cards and stuff to add to the base game. I think it's listed how many cards were here, and it was a big number. Well, maybe it didn't. I could have sworn that it did, though. Expansion contents. Kind of this cool upgrade system for this game where you attach these like half circle. That's not even half. It's like a sixth of a circle kind of peg in there, I think. And yeah, you keep track of like your health points, I think, here. Yeah, 240 cards in this expansion, it looks like. Across a bunch of different categories. And they have nice card dividers in the base game box so that you can keep everything organized. And it has a save system where you can keep out the last story card so that you can start the game right back up next time. I've heard the save system is actually excellent. So anyways, it does also have this digital storybook, but it mentioned right here that you can, what's it say? A website you can download and use offline. So I think that's pretty cool. It's not something that like I could take this, download the storybook, and then I could go to a cabin or whatever where I don't have internet and it would still work because I've downloaded it all beforehand. I like that. I like that idea. So it's not just like an app that always has to get its data from the internet. So anyways, it's kind of a story-based game. I don't know a ton about the gameplay, to be honest, other than I think the artwork is very cute and it reviewed extremely well from other creators. And so I've been interested in it. And this might be my time to jump in. I'm going to do a bit more research and see. Again, I'm very picky with cooperative games and with story-based games. I do need to finish Near and Far behind me and see if story-based games are really for me or not. I think this expansion, it's either 40 euros. It comes with a plushie of one of the characters, or it's 25 euros. And you can get the expansion and the base game for about 90 euros. So that would probably be where I might jump in. We'll see. I'd love to know in the comments if you've played Lands of Galzer, if you would recommend it to somebody that generally likes Euro games that are more of like a single session. And so that would be kind of my worry there with, will I be turned off by this game, or is it something I could get into? I don't mind like reading stories. I'm going through the kind of the campaign storybook of Welcome to the Moon right now with some friends, and it's been really fun. It's really silly. You just kind of read through the scenario if you're the captain for that round, and then make a decision, and that will affect which new cards might come out and which objectives you'll be playing with for the next mission. But this is a little bit more and a little bit is probably not the right term. This is a lot more story heavy than something like that. But anyways, yeah, I'd love to know if you've played this one. So let me know in the comments. That is Lands of Galzer, the Dreams and Mysteries expansion. It's on GameFound, and it ends on October 1st. Okay, 3 more. First one is called Overparked. This is a small game from a company in Singapore about trying to organize a parking garage. And I think it looks like it could be fun. I like a good like polyomino game where you're trying to organize things in kind of a puzzle-like way. It has what seems like a kind of interesting system. Everyone has their own board where they're managing their own parking garage. And then on every turn you spin this steering wheel, and based on which player you are or which color you are playing as, it will be pointing at one of the cards, and that's the card that you will add to your hand. And then everyone will play a card from their hand to add cars to their parking garage, and if you meet any of the objectives like fill in the corners or have this distinct shape or have a traffic cone here or something like that, then you'll get points. Doesn't seem like the scoring or the placement rules are like especially like unique, but I think it seems like it could be pretty fun. Shipping to America is a little brutal, but I did want to give it a shout out. I like the idea, and I kind of like the minimalist art style too, to be honest. So that is Overparked, a puzzle strategy game by Ori Game. It ends on October 1st on Kickstarter. All right, and two more. We've got, and I watched the video to see how the game was pronounced, and I've already forgotten. I think it's Aperia, the Hellenic Hegemony. This game was a little hard to tell exactly what it was, how the gameplay would play through the page here and the video. But basically, you are controlling like a different government of ancient Greece, and each of the factions, governments, whatever they are, has, I think, 5 different, what they call here, legendary Greek personalities that are politicians, artists, queens, and athletes. And you'll be moving those characters around to different regions in Greece, and you'll be doing things there like, I think, conquering them or fighting with other players, or like forming alliances if you move to the outside sections of the map. And you do that all and you're moving up on your own personal player board, trying to like have the most of these resources and move up on this, what was that track called? I think it's like, not Splendor. Oh, dang it, it's going to drive me nuts. You can add a building to your city, you're increasing your army, your prestige track here. And so you're doing that through most of the game, but then it has this weird structure at the end of the game. It's basically a rush to what it sounded like convert everything that you've done then into different military units, because the final confrontation, it seems like, determines the victor for the game. And yeah, it says here the player with the most victories wins the game there during the final confrontation. So there's kind of like a change, or like a second phase to the game that happens at that point after the other rounds have been played. Again, it was a little tricky to tell exactly how the game would play just from this page alone. I didn't read through the rulebook, which would help there a bit, I'm sure, but this image here kind of shows the different leaders moving around the board, gaining influence and clashing with each other from time to time. I really like the minimalist art style. Kind of, again, taking a chance on that alone is the reason I decided to include it today. And reading through, I thought that idea was novel of, okay, now everything that I've done, I want to convert it into military strength so that I can be the victor at the end of the game. I definitely won't be backing this one until I've read the rulebook, just to kind of visualize the turn structure a bit better. But yeah, artwork looks cool. Cool idea at the end there. But just wanted to give that one a shout out too. That's Iperia, the Hellenic Hegemony. And that one ends on October 3rd. Okay, last up this week is what I thought was a pretty cool looking 2-player abstract game. And this game you can get 2 different ways. You can get the print and play, which is probably what I will do just to test it out. But you can also back it, and they make you your own board. So it's in Worcestershire. I'm not exactly sure how they pronounce that over in the UK, but it's in the UK is where they're making them and shipping from. But they make the board completely out of oak, I think it was said. Or in reward tiers here, we've got acrylic flower tokens. The game board is made from solid oak, and the tokens are stored in 2 velvet bags, and the game arrives in a cardboard box. Anyways, I thought that was really cool. They make them out of solid oak. But in this game, you're trying to connect your color of flower from one side, your side, these kind of 3 home base squares. How many squares are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it's a 7 by 7 grid. of squares, kind of, you know, like a chess or a checkerboard. And on your side, the middle 3 on the row closest to you are a different color. They're kind of like your home base. And if you can connect a line of your flowers, I think they're called blooms in the game, or blossoms maybe, from your home base to the opponents, then you win. Or if I think you've run out of tokens, then whoever has the most on the board wins. The way you do that, each player has an action marker on the outside edge of the board, and there are 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different actions you can take. And on your turn, you will move your action token 1, 2, or 3 leaves forward and do the action there, which might be to kind of, there's terms for all of them that I can't remember, but toss out like a flower 3 spaces ahead of another one, or to place 2 flowers in kind of a line adjacent to one you've already placed. Or the overgrowth action, I think, is probably the most interesting one. If your opponent has a piece that you have surrounded on 2 of the 4 sides, then you can use that overgrowth action to remove it from the board and grow yours in its place. So that's how you will remove some of theirs and get more of yours on the board as well. So a cool system there where it's kind of a action selection rondel around the outside edge of the board. Kind of reminded me of Patchwork in a way. Kind of a similar vibe there with choosing your actions, but the actions are all different, kind of with that goal of creating that unbroken line to your opponent's home base isn't the right term. The shaded area, maybe they just call it the shaded area. I like home base better. So anyways, a very indie project here. But I like a good abstract game. I think this one looks really pretty. Again, shipping from the UK to America is a little expensive, so I'll probably be checking it out at the print and play level, which is about $6 there, and should be available next month. But you can laminate that, get just some of your own little tokens in order to simulate the cool flowers that they print there. But I do think that the ones they're making look nice. The all oak board, and then it's acrylic flowers, but there are some add-ons where you can bump the acrylic tokens up to oh, come on, I clicked down here, to oak veneer player pieces in 2 different sets of colors, or get a signed copy, or have a personalized message on the back of the board. So cool kind of indie project there, in my opinion. All right, now for pick of the week, since I've closed all the tabs, it's a little bit hard for me to remember. But let me see. I think the one that I wanted to give pick of the week to is probably going to be... It was either going to be this one, Overgrowth here, or Lands of Galzier. I think I'll give it to this one, just because I think Lands of Galzier is already getting like a ton of love. So pick of the week for me is Overgrowth. I like a good short 2-player kind of abstract game. This one seems a little bit unique. There are games where you're trying to make your own unbroken line to the other side, but the idea here that you and your opponent are both going around the same action selection rondel could be pretty fun. So I want to download the rulebook, look at that one a little bit closer, and see if that's a game that I would enjoy. And no Devin this week, so we'll say that his pick of the week was Lands of Galzier. That way I can cheat a little bit and have 2. Where is it? It's oh man, I thought I had the tab saved here, but I don't. Luckily, it was right here on GameFound's front page. So yeah, Lands of Galzier, very beautiful artwork, kind of a story narrative-based game that it sounds like you can play cooperatively or competitively. So again, I'm going to look at both of those in a little more detail and see if they are games that I want to back. All right. Other than that, this week, since that's going to end crowdfunding corner, not anything else, I don't think. So very, very quick episode. I just wanted to not leave a week undone. My goal is to never miss a week here, and there will probably be some scenarios in the future that make that impossible. This week was almost one. It was my mom's birthday, and I had some very busy things at work on my day job, and some other just things I had to get done, and so I wasn't able to time it with Devin. But I hope that you enjoyed just listening to me talk, and we'll get back to the Super Game Brothers podcast with Devin next week. So thanks so much for listening. Really, really appreciate it. If you wouldn't mind, make sure to follow our social media accounts, Super Game Brothers on YouTube, or my board game account, Gaming Top Down, on YouTube and Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. Is that everywhere? I think that's everywhere. That would help me out a lot. And follow us on Patreon. Following our Patreon page is completely free. And then if you ever wanted to check out the extra perks that you can get from the tiers there, you could do that too. So thanks so much again for all of your support. Couldn't do it without you. And I will see you on episode 26 next week, which will commemorate half a year, which will be nuts. So thanks again, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.